all be furious. We should all be afraid of this.
This is the FBI. You have a federal warrant for this address. Keep your hands up and follow orders. This is the FBI. We have a warrant for this.
They handcuffed me and my wife out here. They wanted me to sit on the curb while they were carrying this out, something that I refused to do. They wanted my wife to sit on the curb out here, that she refused to do.
As I was coming out, this big old drone met me.
The only revolutionary organization that's done something here on the ground practically for African people is the one that's come under attack. Institution that offers a community radio station, a newspaper, a commercial kitchen, an Aquaba Hall rental space, and community office for our organizers. That was the building that has come under attack.
You need a breach? What do you need?
Need one.
I don't know.
Let's hold back that money.
Hold
Take it.
We will build a movement of white people that says hands off the Uhuru movement.
They see in the African People's Socialist Party a vanguard for the struggle for the liberation of our people. They see that because not just what we do here in the United States, but because we had the temerity to do like Garvey, to do like Malcolm X, and take the struggle of black people around the world.
Uhuru means freedom, and you'll be hearing that a lot throughout this these next couple of days. It's a Swahili word that means freedom, and when the Kenyan Land and Freedom Army and the Africans in Kenya were fighting British colonialism, this was the freedom call. This was the call that they made, was Uhuru. And we remind everybody, and the chairman reminds us, that Patrice Lumumba used the word Uhuru. Malcolm X used the word Uhuru. Assata Shakur, when she greeted her comrades from Cuba, where she sought refuge, greeted us with Uhuru, friends and comrades. So I want to greet you all with an Uhuru, with the reminder that for African people, the chairman reminds us that because we are not free, freedom must be on our minds 24/7. And so we say Uhuru until freedom is ours. Uhuru.
Uhuru.
Uhuru, comrades. And I just wanted to make one more announcement. I know that there are some exams happening throughout this building. So we were reminded to be mindful of that. So, because I wanted to shout Uhuru like really loud, so I had to remind myself. So again, my name is Mwezi Odom. I'm a member of the African People's Socialist Party and chair of the Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa Counteroffensive. And you just saw a video up there, laying out the, what has happened over the past 4 years since these attacks, as well as, the attacks themselves, the attacks on July 29, 2022, when the FBI launched this assault on the Black liberation movement in the form of the African People's Socialist Party, which is with its main target as Chairman Amalia Shatella. Before I move on, I want to invite up my co-MC and comrade, Professor Natsu Saito. I just want to take a moment to really acknowledge Comrade Natsu, who's also here on behalf of Comrade Ward Churchill.
Right on.
Yes, really want to salute Comrade Ward, who unfortunately couldn't be with us today, but we will be seeing Ward tomorrow. And also want to salute Comrade Paulette Dautier, Uhuru comrade. And as well as Professor, some of them who are not here, Professor Tanya Washington, Professor Julian Hill, who we heard from earlier. And also Mauli Davis, who will, where?
Right there.
Right there. Hey, oh, great, who is an attorney with the National, and also with the National Council of Black Lawyers, the chapter president and the national co-chair. And we just really want to salute all of you for a lot of the groundwork that has made this possible. When you have organization and you're serious about liberation, you're serious about getting the job done, you can, rely on your comrades to, go the extra mile. And you comrades really have, laid out the red carpet. And we just want to really salute you and appreciate you. And wanted to say that one more time. And okay, so I don't know if you wanted to say anything else. Not yet.
I've had just a couple of things
Yes.
I wanted to say.
Mhm.
Thank you all for being here tonight. I know that traffic was just horrendous. It's always bad, but it seems like it was even worse. But it's wonderful to see you all, and I just want to say thank you also for, we're very appreciative that we could use this space here at Georgia State's College of Law, from which I am happily but I enjoyed many fun years teaching here. But I want to say thank you especially to Georgia State, also the Black Law Student Association, which co-sponsored this event, and its faculty advisors, Professor Julian Hill and Tanya Washington, for ensuring that we could have access to this space.
Yes.
And also to the National Conference of Black Lawyers and Mauli Davis, who's the chair, for co-sponsoring this event and for supporting the this tonight's event and tomorrow's luncheon. Also, the Davis Bozeman Law Firm, which is co-sponsoring the luncheon tomorrow as well. So we are really grateful to have this amazing support from the legal community and the most activist branch of the legal community.
Yes. Well put.
Here. And I just wanted to say, if I may.
Yes.
That it's really an honor to be here and to welcome all of you and to be able to join in supporting the Uhuru movement in this struggle. I want to recognize that we're here on traditional lands of the Muskogee Creek Nation. These are lands from which the Muskogee were violently removed so that it could be made profitable through the enslaved labor of American Indian and African peoples. There's us to think really concretely about this actual land that the building is sitting on. Okay, this land right here under our feet. There's so much blood on this land, right? We're just a block over from Auburn Avenue, where there was in 1906, a thriving Black financial and commercial district that was torched, and surrounding Black communities were terrorized. Also more famous, but it was a similar thing. And these streets around here were paved with bricks, and the buildings around here were initially erected from bricks made by the Chattahoochee Brick Company's convict labor. The public coffers, as well as the private works that made Atlanta great in its, were funded largely by the exploitation of its Black residents. And put in a little plug, that exploitation has been amazingly thoroughly documented in this crime report of Fulton County, where we are right now. This is Fulton County. This heavy documents, documents it in extraordinary detail, and so it really should be paid attention. We are also have other Atlanta and Decatur surrounding areas. We have local reparations movement that are bringing this history to light, but we need to remember this every day whenever we walk on this land. So there's a lot of blood here, but there's also a continuous history of resistance, and this case is part of that history of resistance. For well over 50 years, the Uhuru movement, led by its chairman, Omar, has advocated for the self-determination of all peoples and for reparations for people of African descent. Because of this work, and relying solely on their First Amendment protected statements, the Justice Department has charged the chairman, as well as Penny Hess and Jesse Neville, with ridiculous charges about acting as unregistered agents of the Russian government. So tomorrow, right, the 11th Circuit's going to hear oral arguments in this incredibly significant case involving the right to freedom of speech, political dissent, and convictions based solely on conspiracy charges. There are things that any of us who have had the vaguest activist thought cross through our brains, right, need to be concerned about and pay attention to. It's also a great opportunity for us to think really creatively and see in action tomorrow, and then get to talk to tomorrow. So I just want to say all of that to say welcome. Thank you all for being here. And I wanted to ask Allie Davis from the Davis Bozeman Law Firm, one of our most wonderful, amazing alums of this law school, and a list of accomplishments that would take us all night to read. But I just want to express our appreciation for your immediate support. As soon as I talked to him about it, he was like, yes, we have to do this, we have to share space, we have to get food, we have to do all these things. And
Yes.
Thank you.
My brother. Good to see you, Choco, man. Yes, yes.
Free the land. Free the land. Free the land.
Free the land.
Anything necessary. I'm deeply honored to stand here on behalf of the National Conference of Black Lawyers, NCBL. Many of you all probably know that in 1968, when the FBI's war on the Black Liberation Movement was intensifying, that the NCBL was birthed. And I often wonder, Baba, I wonder, Mama, what would NCBL's role be in 2026? Where the organizers, where the activists that we are supposed to support? Because that's our role. Our role was to come together to support the members of the Black Panther Party, the Black Liberation Army, who were under assault. And here we are in terms of needing to support the Uhuru 3. We have a Peachtree 5 that we're supporting, and we are still trying to clear the name of Imam Jamil Al-Amin, may he rest in peace. So the struggle continues. The struggle is real. We are grateful for your witness, your sacrifice. I know you all didn't choose to be defendants, but you chose to be fighting for our liberation. And because of that, we know that there will always be resistance. There will always be those who will attempt to squash and stomp out our resistance movement, but we know we'll win. because we're on the right side.
Right on.
That's right.
We know that.
Right on.
And so I'm grateful, to Turner. I'm sure you all have met. She is our president of the Black Law Students Association here in Georgia State. And it's folks like Q who, young people who make Brother Julian and I and Baba Kwame who teach in different spaces know that we're gonna be all right. I know that it looks a little gray in this room, but troops are here and coming, and in the person of Q Turner and others and the work that we do. So let's keep shining the bright light. It's our honor. We wouldn't know what else could we do. But when they said you all were coming to the 11th Circuit for us to be here and to encourage our students to come and witness, we believe that this is indeed a historic case, an important case, and we hope that people will wake up and see how this could reverberate across movement lines. Because if they can say what you can talk about, speak on, critique, then we all are in trouble. Right now they think, oh, it's the radicals. But in their mind, any resistance is radical, any. So thank you all for allowing us to serve in this capacity. We look forward to tonight's conversation, to what we know will be a very powerful presentation in the 11th Circuit, and then we'll be back here for the debriefing. So thank y'all, and Q, please, we got to get the Balsa from Georgia State, John Marshall, Emory, they need to come and hit an oral argument tomorrow. So I'm gonna do my part. So if we can all push it out to our students so that they can come and witness what it looks like in 2026. All right, Uhuru.
Well, thank you so much for that statement, Attorney Davis. And so we're going to pull back up this PowerPoint. I know, let me come back to the speaker. I think that was, there we go. Uhuru. So we do have a kind of a brief PowerPoint that, and I just really want to appreciate the statements by Professor Natsu, Saito as well, because it kind of speaks to, it also spoke to the importance of this case, that this is not just about getting Chairman Amalia Shatella and the Uhuru 3 out of prison. It's, of course, it's about dropping the charges and, removing this, this attack, as we understand, as a political attack and the legal, consequences of that. But it's about liberation. It's about, not just, one, acknowledging the land, but returning the land back to the rightful owners of the indigenous people, taking, allowing African people the ability to self-govern ourselves. I mean, just on tomorrow, we recognize that also who will be in court is the, sitting president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro. And so we understand that this trial for the Uhuru, or this case for the Uhuru 3 is not unrelated to anything that we're seeing around the world. And so this is one struggle. And I just really want to appreciate the, the bold statements from the legal community, or the most, how you, phrased it. But because, this is, all of our skills and our resources have to now be consolidated, and used through organizations. So I just really want to salute the, the African People's Socialist Party, who has given us the vehicle in order to, do that. And you comrades are a representation of the, resistance struggles all around the world. So Uhuru. Uhuru. So I want to, so the hands off Uhuru, hands off Africa. And we say hands off Africa because, again, as we understand, the African People's Socialist Party was, was developed in 1972 with the goal to complete the revolution of the 1960s. This is the Black Revolution as it existed here within the United States, but around the world. And so when we talk about freeing up Africa, or when we talk about freedom, we cannot talk about that without, talking about Africa, which is the question of colonialism that has put African people in a situation where we have been separated and split all around the world and under economic and political control by our oppressor. And so, and now we understand that everybody is also locked locked into that same configuration. And so freeing up Africa will free up the world's comrades. We have to understand that anything that we see that is happening in this system, whether it's the question of homelessness, I mean, you know, talk about being taken from your home, from your continent and shipped all around the world, whether it's the question of immigration, I mean, all these colonial borders, colonialism has to be at the center of our struggle. And so I just really want to salute our comrades who may not be listening right now because it's hours ahead, but who are on the ground right now on the continent, in Africa, in occupied Azania, as we are, you know, also known as South Africa, and all throughout the African diaspora. Uhuru. So I want to salute Chairman Amalia Shatella, and who is the leader of the African Revolution, who is the chairman of the African People's Socialist Party, leader of the Uhuru movement, and has been a beacon of hope, and has you know, gotten us to this understanding, you know, through the theory of African internationalism, helping us understand that capitalism was born parasitic, and it was born through the colonial assault on Africa and African people. And if we can understand a theory like African internationalism, we can, you know, we can understand all of the struggles of Cuba, the struggles of, you know, in Sudan. I have a stutter, sorry, but I want to point out Comrade Suad, who is here also, with decolonized Sudan. And, you know, all these struggles, nothing is unrelated. And the theory of African internationalism is such a winning theory. And I just want to encourage everybody, if you do not know anything about the theory, you know, look it up, you know, come to our studies, learn more. Chairman Amalia Shatella is, you know, has provided the world with the political theory that, that is the roadmap. So, Uhuru, Chairman. The slides are out of order, but I'll come back because I do want to also, I'm just going to go to slide 10 because I really want to also salute our Deputy Chair of the African People's Socialist Party. Thank you, Comrade. This is Comrade Deputy Chair Onezine Yeshatella, who is here with us in the room. Deputy Chair was also there, you know, on the morning of the raids on July 29, 2022. And when you understand why the FBI thought to attack the African People's Socialist Party, you got to see the work of this comrade. If you come to St. Louis, Missouri, a place where Black people make less than $5 a day, a place where enough Black babies die in the first year of life to fill 15 kindergarten classrooms. When Deputy Chair was placed there, coming out of the, you know, Ferguson uprisings, and, you know, the chairman called her out there to come to St. Louis, Missouri. She's probably only supposed to be there for, I don't know, a couple of days or months or something, and she never left. And she built, this is, as we say, the house that Black built. Deputy Chair has built the Black Power Blueprint, which is the economic, you know, liberation. You know, this is what a liberated Africa can look like, from, you know, farmers markets to housing, to, you know, basketball courts, to community centers, to opportunities for Africans coming out of the colonial prisons to have an opportunity to be trained and to go to work. Deputy Chair has built, you know, the reasons why the FBI thought it was important to attack the African People's Socialist Party, because it's not just what we say, but it's what we do. And we are really serious about building an anti-colonial economy, an anti-colonial world, that one that negates the need for colonialism. So I just really want to salute our Deputy Chair, who is, and if you have a copy of our newspaper, you'll see that we have our bakery cafe that is having its grand opening next month. So just take a look at some of this, you know, support the work of the organization. This is one of our oldest economic institutions, of which the Deputy Chair leads our economic work. So Uhuru, Deputy Chair. And just to remind that the party, this is not the first campaign that the African People's Socialist Party has fought. We want to remind, you know, those who don't know, that in the 1970s, the party built a campaign to free Freddie Pitts and Wilbert Lee, who were death sentenced by an all-white jury for a murder that they did not commit. And thanks to the African People's Socialist Party, they were pardoned in 1975. And also, so there's just the next slide, just you know, shares a little bit more. Thanks to the African People's Socialist Party, again, they were pardoned. And then also in 1975, the party launched the campaign to free Desi Woods, an African woman sentenced to 22 years for killing a white man who tried to rape her with his own gun. And again, thanks to the party, Desi Woods was freed in 1982. And this was a struggle that was taken up all around the world and really made the, you know, in terms of the question of, you know, violence, against women in general. It was a question about colonial violence, and it really helped to, set the question, put the colonial question in terms of as we look at feminism and all these other stories. So I just really want to salute the party because, the chairman and the party have been unrelenting in the colonial question, which helps to, clarify and cut through all of the, confusion about what we're actually fighting for. So here's a great photo of, what the struggle did. The struggle of Black women is a struggle for all. Uhuru. So this is just a photo of the National Central Committee of the African People's Socialist Party. I want to salute those comrades that are online listening, and one of our NCC members, Director Akile, who is in the back there next to Deputy Chair. You saw Director Akile in the video speaking about all the work of the organization and the reasons why the African People's Socialist Party was attacked. She was also a victim of the raids, got a phone call saying that her car was being broken into. And when she went outside to go and check on her car, FBI agents swarmed her. And, and so you saw her car was also there in the video. So these were some of the comrades that were there during Ground Zero, and really want to salute Deputy Director Akile, who leads our media and communications work. And the Hands Off Uhuru Committee. Want to salute you, comrades, who are tuning in and who have done so much work to get us to this point. And as we say, it's not over. So I'm going to go through these somewhat quickly, but just to remind everybody, these are just some images of the raids. And mind you, these raids happened pre-dawn, so it was dark outside. The chairman had those laser sights pointing on his chest, assault rifles. They used flashbang grenades, as you saw. And, so these were some videos or some photos that we were able to capture following the raids. Again, 7 homes and offices of the Uhuru movement were raided in St. Petersburg, Florida, and St. Louis, Missouri. And there was no warrant. They would not show a warrant. They said they had one over there. They just told us that there's some big news about a Russian national that's going to be, on trial or facing some charges. But at that point, there was 4 members of our movement who were listed as unindicted, or who were named as unindicted co-conspirators. And a couple of comrades are wearing one of the T-shirts that we have that says, "I am an unindicted co-conspirator," because we recognize that meant if it was them 4, it was all of us, right? And during that period, there was a ongoing, attacks that took place throughout our organization and our members. So it took them 9 months later to indict the members of our movement. And, so we, called it out. Chairman Amalia Shatella, Penny Hess, and Jesse Neville were named as the Uhuru 3. And I want to just really salute Comrade Penny Hess, who is here with us as well, one of the Uhuru 3. Who has worked under the chairman's leadership for 50, how many years? 50 years this year. Well, yeah. So APSC, the African People's Solidarity Committee, was founded in 1976, and this year makes the 50 years of that organization. And Chairwoman Penny took the call to, take the call to go into the white community and to bring the question of reparations to African people, to make a self-criticism as a member of the colonizer, population, and to work under the leadership of the African working class. And so this was an attempt to scare white people into, into supporting and, uniting with the struggle for African people. And so we don't see this as just an attack on 2 other members of the movement. This was a very clear attack. And on young comrade Jesse Neville, who leads the Uhuru Solidarity Movement, which is the mass organization for white people in the Uhuru movement. And I just want to acknowledge, I know we'll probably say more, but Chair Jesse is not able to be here today. And he's dealing with, can I say he had an accident, was hit in his vehicle and is suffering like a concussion. And so he's recovering from that, and we really miss the comrade, and really just want to salute you, comrade. I know you're probably listening, or hopefully you're resting, but just really want to salute Chair Jesse for his tremendous work throughout this, fight back, but also the stance that he has taken, under the party's leadership. Yes, and so, let's skip that one here. So on September 22nd September 2022 was when we're on slide 22, yeah. Thank you, comrade. Was when the chairman launched the Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa coalition, so counteroffensive. And we called it a counteroffensive because we weren't taking this defensive posture. We understood, what we stood on, and we understood that this was a political attack. And so, but we had to understand that this was also a legal, fight back that we had to engage in. And so we assembled a brilliant team of lawyers and worked with other, others in the legal community who really did tremendous work to help build our legal team. So I just want to salute those who are here in this image, the National Lawyers Guild in particular, Comrade Lauren Reagan from the Civil Liberties Defense Center, and Chimarenga Selembao, who's a member of the African People's Socialist Party, and led the important work to pull all these forces together. And here's our brilliant legal team. So you will meet some of them, hopefully tonight, if we can hear from them and they are able to come, but you will see them in the court tomorrow for sure, arguing this important appeal. Really want to salute comrades Addie Griffin, who represents the chairman, Mutaki Akbar, who represents Jesse Neville, Leonard Goodman and Angela Rainey, Leonard Goodman, who represents Chairwoman Penny, and he's done this pro bono from the start and continues to do this work pro bono. Really want to salute the comrade. And Angela Rainey, who is also working under comrade attorney Leonard Goodman, and is, so that's part of the work that he has led, and she has helped write the appeal. And Tom Inskeep, who works with comrade attorney Addie Griffin. So I'm going to go quickly through these next slides, but these are just a list of some of the attacks that happened after the July 29th attack and before it, as you see on July 2nd. But again, it took them 9 months to indict us. So all of this was happening during that period of time, attacks on our petitions that we had put out in the world around charging the United States with genocide. Next slide. They also, churches, there was a church that we were looking to acquire in North St. Louis to be able to, forward and continue some more of our programming and work in the community. And right after purchasing this property, it mysteriously went up in flames. I mean, it was an inferno. And this was right across from the chairman and deputy chair's home, mind you. Right across the street. Black Power 96 Radio, which is our radio station, which was also attacked at the Uhuru House in St. Petersburg, Florida, is also in a legal battle right now, fighting back for these funds, a grant that was awarded, but then was revoked by St. Petersburg's, there was a body or a council that revoked this grant. I think at this time it was an anti-Semitism charge or something, or claim that they were making. So you can also follow the Black Power 96 fight back as well. Bank accounts from our organization, members of our organizations, their bank accounts were closed. We were forced to pay off loans, something like $80,000 within a month or two, on properties that we had already acquired. And again, 9 months later came the indictment. Since the beginning, the chairman said, we are not retreating, we are building. And so again, when I talk about the bakery during, all of this in the past 4 years, this is an example that where we are, I mean, just imagine if we hadn't been raided by the FBI, you know what I'm saying? But to say that from 2022 to now, so much work has been done. And not only just building economic and, power, but the political, work that has been done under the chairman's leadership. So, yes. So what were the charges, right? What were these fabricated charges that came up? The charges against the Uhuru 3 there were two charges. There was the first charge, the main charge, charging the Uhuru 3 up to 10 years maximum in prison for acting as foreign agents, failure to register as, foreign agents of a foreign government. And in this case, it was Russia. And then the second charge was a conspiracy charge, a conspiracy to commit an offense against or to defraud the United States government, and this carried a 5-year maximum prison sentence. So again, we understand this Russian plot to sow discord. This is nothing new, and that we know who is the real criminal. It is the United States government. It is the colonial state itself. However, it represents itself, the FBI, the CIA, the whole damn state. Chairman Amalia Shatella said that the Uhuru 3 are not guilty of these bogus charges, and reminded us that, again, it is this system that has a bloody track record of surveilling, stalking, assassinating and, torturing African and indigenous freedom fighters. And so we were very clear on that question. And, this was something that the chairman said that we're going to have to make the state fight against themselves. Like, so whatever, if they believe that in the question of freedom of speech, because we understood that this was an attack on simply what we said. And to remind everybody that during this time, this was in 2022, when the US was launching its proxy war, yes, exactly, against Russia, using Ukraine as, cannon fodder. And in February of that year, the chairman was, out there on our platform, that we have, and, with viewers and subscribers, and spoke to the truth about this. And to remind people that in 2022, this happened under the Biden administration. And so they're trying to say that, it's a question of that, but the speech of the organization, the African People's Socialist Party, has been consistent. The question of reparations, the question, speaking out against genocide, the liberation of African and African people, and even in the indictment mentioned electoral work that we had done, running members of our organization for city council and, mayoral candidates as well, taking up all of the democratic space wherever we can be, and to put forth these questions. This is what the organization has done. So in the Uhuru 3 were arraigned in May of that year. They had their passports taken. They were released on a $25,000 signature bond. Their travel was restricted. And these were some of the, pre-trial conditions. And in July of that year, we filed a motion to dismiss, to indict. We filed a motion to dismiss this indictment based on the violation of the, violation of the First Amendment. And our motion was denied in January of the following year. And this is when the judge set this to go to trial. And, later on, you'll hear even from our attorneys, I think in many ways why the judge probably thought that this was an important case to go to trial, because of the precedent, setting implications. But just want to say that I'm just going to talk a little bit about the free speech trial of the century, as we say. This was the Uhuru 3 trial. And this anti-colonial trial, this is, as we say, when we fight, we win. And, as we came out of this, we defeated the main charge of being foreign agents, completely demolishing the, government's political objective to discredit the voice of the African community by claiming, that the reparations demand, the, criticism of police murders, the, genocide, that all of this was a part of a Russian plot to sow discord. And so we were able to beat the main charge, but were then convicted of the conspiracy charge, which essentially was a thought crime, or is a thought crime. And, so this was considered like an illogical or inconsistent verdict, where the prosecution made, very confusing jury instructions. And so that was the outcome of that: guilty of conspiring to do the same thing that we were found not guilty of actually doing. Specifically to hide from the government that, we were Russian agents, which the jury agreed that we never were in the first place. So you can just see how illogical this verdict was. And again, like we said, because of some of the misconduct, taking place. No need to go through the First Amendment, but this, again, as our attorney, Leonard Goodman, has said, that this case strikes at the heart of the First Amendment. And so it was really important that we called on all of our supporters to come and to pack the courthouse. And here's of course you can't have cameras in the court, but we want to salute the comrade, Ruby, who might even be here. Ruby, if you're here, wave your hand. Ruby, yes, Ruby was one of our court stenographers. This is a sketch by Comrade Halley, who was also another one of our court sketch artists. And so here we are coming up to this point on today, calling on everybody to attend the appeal, which was fully briefed in 2025, June of last year. And again, we were expecting oral arguments. Here we are today. So I don't know if our attorneys are coming today. Yeah, it could be a traffic or whatnot. We're still trying to get a hold of them. But tomorrow, I really want to give an opportunity for attorneys Leonard Goodman, Mutaki Akbar, Addie Griffin, and Angela Rainey to talk about this appeal. because, and I can say a little bit about it as well, just, in their place, if that's helpful, but I also will turn it to the chairman in just a moment. But, okay, we're on this one here. I want to read just a little bit on this, this page here, as, one thing that the judge even had to say, repeatedly during our trial was that he was very troubled by this conspiracy charge, and the verdict, and even stated openly that he hoped that it would be reversed on appeal. When our lawyers filed this motion for him to, throw out this conspiracy charge, as he declined to do so, but he did say on record, quote unquote, between you and me, I hope you're right. And so it is, yes. And this is Judge William Jung. And part of why he may have taken this approach, and these are some notes that comrade, that our comrade Jesse has put together. I think this is really important. He says part of why he may have taken this approach is because the only way our case can actually set a binding legal precedent that can be used by those in the future who face similar charges at the hands of the US government is by winning on appeal. And so by winning on appeal, we can set that precedent. And the only reason that he could take this position is because the chairman and the Hands Off Africa Fightback, which led this struggle through the lens of understanding the political implications. An appeal is what establishes case law. And this is what our mission is now with the Uhuru 3 appeal. The Uhuru 3 appeal, once it's victorious, will set landmark precedents. It will establish case law that the government violates the First Amendment anytime that they charge someone with acting as a foreign agent simply on the basis of their speech. So this sends a message to the government, and more importantly, it sends a message to the people that you can win, but only if you fight. So, following the trial, the Uhuru 3 we had our sentencing date, which was set in December of 2024. And we want to salute everybody who wrote character letters. The judge says generally when you're, facing sentencing, people only get maybe 2 or 3 letters that come in. 1,600 letters were written on behalf of the Uhuru 3. I really want to salute our campaign and the comrades who took the charge on that, Director Aisha and comrades Lauren and comrades Len and others who really took an important stance in helping to organize this. 1,600 letters for all the Uhuru 3 from people that they knew and people that never even met them but saw their work. The Uhuru 3 wanted the chairman and the Uhuru 3 to go to, the government wanted the chairman and the Uhuru 3 to go to prison. But they were sentenced to 3 years of probation instead, 300 hours of community service, restricted travel, and state supervision. And in January of this year, the Uhuru 3, their probation was terminated. They had early termination of their probation, and they had already completed their 300 community hours. As the judge says, you can do that standing on your heads. And and then there was something else here I wanted to mention. Yes. And the judge, ended their probation, again, nearly 2 years early, stating that the Uhuru 3 were not a danger to themselves or to society, despite the government's their insistence that the Uhuru 3 represented a grave danger to US national security. And that's a very serious charge. So I just want to, I'm going to say a little bit more about as we prepare for tomorrow and for going into the court. Into the courthouse. But as the chairman has said, from the very beginning, the Uhuru 3 fight back and the attack on the party was the canary in the coal mine. And this is something that, Attorney, Davis mentioned in his statements. And, in the nearly 4 years since the FBI raids on the Uhuru movement, a major escalation, as we can see, from the colonial state and repression of anti-colonial free speech. From the, national, there was the, memo that was leaked earlier, or I think it was last year now by the DOJ. We've just seen this, recent one on Cuba, right? As, being this, hotbed for, breeding communists. The attacks on Palestinians, the ICE attacks on Mexican and Somali communities in Minneapolis and across the world. Tucker Carlson and, other, people who, used to be a part of this establishment have now also seen, this, fracturing. And so we want to encourage everybody to join some of the fronts that we have, gotten behind. We built a Hands Off Uhuru Fightback coalition. We built this going into the trial. This is an organization that is made up of other organizations across the political spectrum who united with the demand to drop the charges on the Uhuru 3, but also united with our 7 demands as well. And I want to just salute some of those comrades who are in the room. The U.S. Hands Off Cuba Committee. I want to salute comrades from CPI, John McCarthy, USM, Annual, the African National Women's Organization, and PDUM, Comrade Sister Afia Wangaza, who is, joined as a member and has made tremendous contributions to the movement overall, and especially in this fight back. Comrade Paulette Dotier, and the, and the struggle that we took up with the Leonard, Peltier, committee to free Leonard Peltier, as we say, not one more year, Jericho movement as well. All of these comrades have, made a tremendous, contributions to this fight back. So we call on you to, join this fight back as well. And these are some of the struggles that we have taken up over the years. Next slide. And you will see more of us. We march every year on the White House in Washington, D.C. So we encourage you, comrades, to also join us there and to unite with this, with the support that has come from around the world in support of the Uhuru 3. We have reached over 56 countries. This is who we can, who has actually reached out to us, so we know that we've reached them based on our data. And 48 states in the United States. I'm sure it's all of them by now. We want to thank the global, the worldwide support and donations, and to say that throughout this fight back, we have raised over $600,000 raised from supporters. Yeah. And, across the political spectrum. And this is not a small thing, because the goal was to also, force us to have to, pay for everything. And we had to, be able to, pay for the legal, for all the legal fees a part of this case. So every contribution, from the pennies to the $10,000, $70,000 donations, to the Comrade MQ who donates on every single webinar. Just really, comrades, really want to appreciate you all so much. And to acknowledge Comrade Leonard Goodman for his pro bono contribution as well, as our attorney. So just want to wrap it up quickly, but I'm going to just show you, these are some of the webinars. Many of you have seen these slides before. A lot of the media outlets that have taken the stance to cover the Uhuru 3 over time. Some pictures of our comrades that you see here. Not enough space to cover everyone's faces, but really want to salute you all. Yeah, you saw you there. And as we say, it's not over. So we have launched a new front, the Latin America front. We say this because, the same way that, we can recognize that this attack on Chairman Amalia Shatella in the middle of, St. Louis, Missouri is not unrelated to our African brothers and sisters who are coming under attack in indigenous communities and all throughout, Latin America. And so we say one struggle, one fight, and we have launched the Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa, Latina America front. And this is a really powerful front. We are, taking the question, of, freedom, liberation. Here comes our attorney. There comes Addie Griffin, and who is yeah. We're taking this question throughout the Southern Hemisphere to really unite all of our struggles. So it's not over, comrades. Tomorrow you will hear more about our Repeal FARA Act, because we do have a goal to build the people's movement to repeal these FARA laws and these conspiracy laws. And so Comrade Jesse, who has, taken the initiative to lead some of that work, we can talk more about that. But we understand that these foreign agents, and conspiracy laws are explicitly political laws. They are designed to repress political speech. And so, we're going to take that on. We're not backing down from that. And if you are a law student, or you are, interested, or you have no interest in law, but you think that this is an important, fight back, we encourage you to join the Legal Defense Support Committee of Hands Off Uhuru. This is where this struggle will be led. under the leadership of the party and the campaign. So we say forward to tomorrow to our oral arguments. And we do have some handouts of the courtroom guidelines, which I'll go over later on in tonight's program. But I'm going to turn it over now to, well, how should we go?
How was it?
Yeah, because now we got you. Uhuru, Rainey. Let me come back to the sketch. So thank you, comrades. Because we kind of, we were going to switch it up. I know Attorney Leonard Goodman is not on. So what I'll do is, oh, great, thank you. So Attorney Angela, you're up next. But let me just give you like a proper introduction and was that?
You're objecting.
Yeah, objection. Object? You object? What do I say when you object? Overturned. Overturned. Sustained. Well, here's what we had. We wanted to hear from attorneys Leonard and Angela, who wrote the appeal. And if anything, I would like to just read their bios and just read a little bit about our attorneys and just really want to salute the tremendous work that you all have done in writing this appeal. And if anybody has a chance, if you go to our website and you look under court documents, you should actually read the appeal. You can download all the court documents and read them. We encourage you to read them and to study them. And it's very brilliantly written on an appeal that, it almost doesn't need to be written because it's so obvious what they're arguing. And, and we must win this. So Attorney Leonard Goodman, who is not here with us right now, is a distinguished criminal law attorney based in Chicago, who has won high profile and precedent-setting cases, including the US Supreme Court and the Illinois Supreme Court. He is widely published columnist covering legal and social justice topics and former lecturer of federal criminal law at DePaul University. I want to also welcome Attorney Angela Rainey, who is a nationally experienced criminal defense and an appellate attorney known for her fierce advocacy. I saw something about a pit bull in a, okay, yes, a pit bull in a skirt. Yes. I came across that. I thought that was great. Her career spans federal and state courts across the country, where she has defended clients facing serious felony charges, including murder, drug, and firearm offenses, sex crimes, and foreign agent cases. You'll also hear over these next couple of days from Attorney Mutaki Akbar and Attorney Addie Griffin. Mutaki Akbar is a criminal defense trial attorney who graduated cum laude from University of Miami School of Law and is a managing partner at Akbar Thomas Law Firm in Tallahassee, Florida. He is a former president of the NAACP Tallahassee chapter and has organized to stop the current rewriting or banning of Black history curriculum in Florida schools. And we also have Attorney Addie Griffin, who is also representing Tom Inskeep as well with Griffin Inskeep Law. And Attorney Addie Griffin is a lawyer practicing criminal, family, and defense, and criminal defense. And she has been licensed for 22 years. This may be more, this might be old, but also practices in West Palm Beach. And there's, what am I trying to say?
I think probably what needs to be said is
Yes.
that though Leonard and Angela played like a key role in the writing, but it was vetted by our
Yes.
team. We had an extraordinary team. It
Yeah.
was a group of people who made all of this happen.
Yeah.
We are an organization.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. This doesn't explain what we saw in the courthouse and in the courtroom and all the work that our attorneys have put in, and just the courageous stance. This is the stance that all attorneys and lawyers should be looking at. And I just really want to salute you, comrades. So I was going to turn it to you, Chairman, in the absence. Did you want to say anything before maybe I can, since they objected my invitation to speak? Yeah, okay. Uhuru. So then let's go back to the program. So I would like to give an opportunity for attorneys to say a little bit about the appeal. So you want me to just pass it down? Yeah, okay. And they can hear us online with this? Okay. I think it'll reverberate. Okay, maybe come up here. Okay. Oh, yes, for the video. Thank you, Keely. Okay. Thank you. Okay.
My name is Angela, and I'm very excited to be here. How many of you are law students? You're out there. So, no, I would just want to say that whenever I was in law school, I would be so excited to know I'm going to the 11th Circuit about to argue this big First Amendment issue. So I'm really excited to be here and doing that. So I will start by talking about, in the trial court, the Uhuru three were charged with being agents of a foreign government without registering, and they were charged with conspiring to do that as well. So they were acquitted of the main charge. We're up here on the conspiracy charge. And we raised several issues, and we're focusing on a couple of those that we think are particularly strong. The first one of that is the First Amendment argument that obviously a group that's been doing activism since the 60s. This is a speech they've been engaged in since the 60s, and we're arguing that this is a violation of their First Amendment rights, this whole statute. The statute is in this registration requirement as well. So that's, one of the main arguments that we have. We're also arguing that they can't be convicted because there's no evidence they knew that they were supposed to register. So there's a couple of arguments there to be made where, the idea in criminal law is you shouldn't be criminalized for, a severe felony offense when you are not unaware of that. Normally in the law, we reserve strict liability crimes for more regulatory offenses. And this is an offense where you can get several years in prison for it. So that's the idea of that. We think those are both really good arguments. And then we've had a couple of arguments in there too about prosecutorial misconduct. We had the prosecutor in closing saying some things that were not accurate. They accused the Uhuru three of trying to build a site to dox people, and that was just not consistent with reality. Those are the main arguments that we have. And tomorrow will be fairly short. We'll get about 15 minutes on each side to argue. And we won't know anything for months. We'll wait for the 11th Circuit to issue their opinion. It'll probably take several months. But I'd be happy to answer any questions. That's just a brief overview of what we're doing here. Around if anybody.
The site or reference that we can give you a brief.
Yeah,
Where they
same.
already-
Can you tell them where to find the brief?
Yes, so if you go to Hands Off Uhuru and if I can turn back on the screen, I think our AV team might be able to even pull it up on the screen. Yeah, thank you. I just did the wrong thing. Okay. All right, so if you look on the, what you'll see coming up on the screen is our website, handsoffuhuru.org, and there's a tab that says About. And under the About tab, you'll see court documents. So you can look at all the way from the indictment itself to where we are right now with the appeal. The motions to dismiss are listed there. If you wanted to see our court transcripts, you can watch them on our Burning Spear YouTube video, where we did a whole reenactment of the trial with the transcripts as well. But just to say about that, so I know you can't see it right now in this room, but those who are watching online are getting a chance to see the website and the scrolling of the page as well. Okay, Uhuru. I'm going to turn it to Comrade Addie Griffin, who represented Chairman Amalia Shatella. Uhuru.
Thank you all and good evening. My name is Addie Griffin, and myself, along with my law partner, Tom Inskeep, have had the pleasure and honor of representing Amalia Shatella and Penny Hess and Jesse Neville and working with Angela Rainey and Mutaki Akbar and Leonard Goodman. And I can't tell you what I don't want to call it a dream come true because I wish we weren't here, but I'm glad we are. But it's really truly one of those moments that you go to law school for. We've had the opportunity here to fight for our First Amendment rights in the context of liberating African people in this nation and all around the world. And that's been an absolute joy. It was interesting in this case because the government was obviously trying to censor my client. And in doing so, we did what I call a flip mode. And we used it against them. And we took that as an opportunity and to use that large platform in the federal courthouse to demonstrate everything he's ever said. So I really enjoyed doing that. But honestly, it really has been great. And I hope that I've been able to show the courts and the prosecutors and all of you that Omali Yeshitela and the African People's Socialist Party are revolutionaries. They're people of integrity and they cannot be bought.
Uhuru. Yes. That was, yes. Attorney Rainey just reminded us that according to an FBI agent, it was stated Omali Yeshitela cannot be bought. So that is on the record. There's a lot of great things on the record, actually. Uhuru, where's my program here? So I'm gonna, in the absence of our attorneys or our other, members of our legal team being here, I'm going to, yeah, do you want to say anything? Okay, great. Thank you, comrade.
We are more alike than you'd ever know. Mutaki and I actually started in 2004 together at the Public Defender's Office in the 15th Judicial Circuit in West Palm Beach. So it was kind of full circle that we ended up back. And it wasn't, he didn't refer me, I didn't refer him. It just happened that we ended up back in this realm together. But one thing that I think that he would touch on is that what the chairman was talking about is that this was truly a group effort, a team effort, and a successful appeal starts with issue spotting. So as a law student and as a lawyer, I'm constantly thinking outside the box. How can we disrupt their game, so to speak? And this really did start with issue spotting. And throughout this process, there was kind of a mantra that went through our crew. How can you be guilty of a conspiracy if you had no intent to commit a crime? And I know that's simplistic, but it does break down one of the key parts of our appeal. So from that issue spotting, we ended up obviously writing motions in limine and preparing our cross-examinations to get the evidence that we needed to support those issues. And then we objected a lot. I objected a lot to preserve those issues. So one thing, law students, be careful. If they say you have a standing objection, that's not true. You have to keep objecting contemporaneously with the evidence that comes up, which is a pain in the butt because the jury doesn't want to hear you object anymore. They're tired of listening to you. But, the job has to be done. So in any event, we objected, we preserved those issues. We filed the appropriate motions after the trial, and then the brilliant minds, well, they started in the beginning, but a lot of thanks to Angela Rainey and obviously Leonard Goodman, who put this amazing brief together. So that's on behalf of Mr. Akbar.
Uhuru. Thank you, comrades. We do have Chairman Penny, I have you up next. Did you want to say anything about and and then we'll move to then we'll close with the chairman and yeah.
Uhuru, wow, what a powerful event tonight. I really want to, first of all, salute everybody who is here and all of those who have stood with Chairman Omali Yeshitela and the Uhuru 3 for the last 4 years. This has been, in so many ways, why we won. The court had to see the support that came out on so many fronts, that Chairman Omali Yeshitela had a right to anti-colonial free speech, to struggle for and articulate the right of African people to be free, to be liberated, and that all oppressed and colonized people have the right to their self-determination. And this is what it is about, and this is what won. And I want to say that our legal team was brilliant, exciting, and that Chairman O'Malley Shatella is a brilliant lawyer, I guess, legal mind in his own right, because he directed this as a political trial, as the political trial of the century, as we say. And it's not just the law. And it's been an honor to be able to have been under the chairman's leadership and to be able to be part of this victory. And it is a profound victory. And I know that, we're going forward to the appeal. We're going to win. We're going to go forward. And I also want to salute my comrade Jesse Neville, who's not able to be here tonight. Really did a lot of legal research for this as well. And, we know that he's going to be back. And he'll be with us next time around. And I also want to say that when I came into the movement, to the African People's Solidarity Committee, I was organized by Chairman O'Malley Shatella to be a white person and build a committee of white people under the leadership of the African Liberation Movement, with the goal to go into the white community to organize other white people for reparations in theory and practice, to actually raise resources and that, contribute to the ability, the Uhuru movement. And that this is the first time that something like that has ever happened. When I first came into the movement in 1976, the struggle of Desi Woods, by the way, that was referred to, was going on here in Atlanta, Hawkinsville, Georgia. Desi Woods, who later became known as Rashida Muhammad, a very incredible woman, was in Hawkinsville, Georgia, wherever that is, somewhere out there. And a white man tried to rape her and another African woman, and Rashida or Desi Woods fought him for his own gun and shot him and killed him. They were out in the middle of the woods. And Chairman led the struggle, the defense of Desi Woods, and won. She was freed. And she lived out the rest of her life in Oakland, California. And, just want to say that was a powerful struggle, and that was right here in Georgia, right here in Atlanta. We would be here for different trials and things that went on then. And there were incredible lawyers then that are well known from People's Law Office, Chicago, that worked on that case as well. So, just the way how, like the chairman said, that, and the National Lawyers Guild, by the way, says that it's not about protecting property. It's about the interest of the people and the environment. And is really profound, and really want to salute the National Lawyers Guild, the BALSA, the other organizations who have played such an important role, in this. I want to salute Comrade Natsu, just all of the powerful leadership that she has given to this, and her book about race and colonialism. Very powerful, very, very powerful book. I also want to salute Ward Churchill, who is not here, but I think that he will be here tomorrow when we're going to court. Really want to salute him. I know that under the leadership of Chairman O'Malley Shatella, he would tell us we have to learn about the history of what white people have done. Well, study Ward Churchill, just read some of his books about Little Matter of Genocide and the role that white people played along with the atrocities against African people, the lynching, the terror, that we have to understand that this is all in here, in this trial, in this case. This is about the right to talk about the truth about the US and the society that we live in. And this is why we have to have anti-colonial free speech. And this is what the chairman fought for. And I just salute you, Chairman. You are just amazing and inspiring. And I want to salute Deputy Chair Ona Zanea-Shatella, incredible leader of the Uhuru movement that was laid out, that it has led building of the practical work on the ground, and Director Kilai Anai, who's the editor of the Burning Spear newspaper, among many, many other things, that is here as well. And Akenye, other members of the African People's Socialist Party. And I just want to really also wanted to say about Ward's books that we, really want to salute him for his work on COINTELPRO, on the counterinsurgency, agents of repression, all of these things that we see playing out today that he has written about decades, many, many decades before that. So it's an honor to be here. Uhuru, we are winning. Oh, and so Jesse, okay, Jesse wanted me to read. All right, so Jesse, this is from Jesse. He said, next week, it will be 4 years from that Friday morning in late July 2022, when the FBI raided Chairman Omali Shatella, Deputy Chair Ona Zanea-Shatella, and the African People's Socialist Party. Their objective was to put the chairman in prison for the rest of his life and bury the Uhuru movement along with the First Amendment. They wanted to destroy all of the programs for economic and political power that Deputy Chair Ona Zanea has built and led, including the Black Power Blueprint. They wanted to scare white people away from standing in solidarity with Black Power. But Uhuru is still here, stronger than ever. When we fight, we win. The chairman teaches us how to fight and win. He immediately launched Hands Off Uhuru to put the state on trial and raise the issues of anti-colonial free speech. He said, we're not trying to win the courts to love the Black Revolution. We're challenging them on whether they believe in their own constitution. The chairman's message was, we'll handle the revolution. The question for the court is this: can you handle your own First Amendment? Now, 4 years later, instead of being confined inside a federal prison cell where the government wanted him to be, the chairman is in Atlanta, Georgia, where the Federal Appeals Court is holding a hearing tomorrow to debate, among other issues, whether or not the DOJ's charges against the Uhuru movement were even legal under the First Amendment to the US Constitution. This in itself is an enormous victory. It is a testimony to the revolutionary, strategic, political leadership of the chairman. The chairman teaches us that the way you fight a seemingly invincible enemy is to make the enemy fight itself. I send him my deep salutes and respect to our brilliant legal team who brazenly and just really so boldly in court, really amazing, just brought this out in court. I send my deep salutes, and the statement that Uhuru means freedom. Chairman Omali Shatella is not for sale. He is a revolutionary. These are statements made by our attorneys in court 2 years ago during the free speech trial of the century. I express my warm revolutionary love and appreciation to the chairman, Deputy Chair Ona, Chair Moezi Odom, APSC Penny Hess, to Natsu Saito and Ward Churchill, and to all the amazing supporters and freedom fighters who comprise the Hands Off Uhuru anti-colonial free speech movement across the world. I am honored to be one of the Uhuru Three, to be under the leadership of the African Liberation Movement. We are winning. Unity through reparations. Hands off Uhuru. Hands off Africa. Uhuru. All right. Powerful statement. And I just also wanted to salute the Hands Off Cuba forces and all of the people struggling and the professors that are here. And, of course, Natsu again, this has been a really, really powerful stand, and it is an honor to be here tonight. Uhuru, we are winning.
We will win. All right, thank you, Chairman Penny, and thank you, Chair Jesse, for that statement. I'm going to bring up Chairman Amalia Shatella. I don't want to belabor and elongate an introduction, but I don't think the chairman needs much introduction after all you've heard today. Everything that you've heard is because we are working under the chairman's leadership, and it's helped us to understand and frame this world. So Chairman, I just want to turn it over to you and give you an opportunity to speak to the people. Uhuru. Uhuru. Try that.
Uhuru, comrades, Uhuru. Well, first of all, I want to express my appreciation to all of you who have come out and to Comrade Mwezi Odom, who chairs the Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa Committee. And to those of you who made this possible. Some of you are professors and some of you here, and some of you used to be professors here. We have such a profound appreciation for the fact that you allowed us to have this space, to have this discussion with you. I also want to say, I hope I don't sound callous because there are people I'm not going to mention. And it's not going to be disrespectful. It's going to be a consequence in part of not being able to identify everybody immediately. In part, the fact that I'm 85 years old, and that plays some impact. In part because the 85-year-old difficulties compounded by a mysterious disease that I was hit with after this attack on us, the raids. I don't know, most people may not know, but the state occupied my home and occupied our dwellings and offices for something like 8 hours where we were not there. They took control of our properties. And some of you who do know recognize that I live a pretty serious fitness lifestyle. And even when we were attacked on July 29, 2022, pre-dawn, I happened to be up in the morning because I was getting ready to go to the gym, right? So I have a pretty serious fitness lifestyle. I'm a vegan, try not to eat other animals and what have you. So this was, and I had not touched a cigarette in more than 40 years. And so I suddenly have this nodule that develops on the bottom of my right lung, and that required surgery. So they removed a third of my right lung. I had to learn how to tie my shoelaces, how to walk, how to breathe again, and also it impacted on things like memory. So that's part of the reason. Blame the Justice Department for my not mentioning you. Okay. We have, I do want to mention my wife, Comrade Deputy Chair Ona Zene Shatella. She was there when I was raided. And she happened to be up also because we were raided on the morning. We were initiating a doula program. And we had scheduled something like more than 20 African women who were going to learn to be doulas in a city where, as it has been mentioned, something like enough African babies died in the first year of life to fill 15 kindergarten classes. So that's the work that we do. That's the work we were doing. That's why we happened to be up when they attacked us. And surely they wanted to put me in prison. But they wanted more than that. Anybody who was there
when this occurred, would have seen that when I walked out of my house, our house, before daybreak on that morning, I ran into a vehicle, armored vehicle in front of the house, and a battery of armed forces that claimed to be FBI. They were dressed in military gear. They were carrying military assault weapons. And when I walked out the door, I was struck in the chest over and over and over again by red dots from target laser beams. So they had used flashbang grenades, cordoned off the communities, the entire African community. Here, they did the same thing at the same time in St. Petersburg, Florida. It was mentioned that they attacked Comrade Sister Akile Anai, who was the leader of our party as well, by the St. Petersburg Police Department calling her on the phone, telling her that she needed to come outside because somebody was breaking into her car. And when she came outside, she was surrounded by FBI agents. In every instance, they put us in handcuffs. They zip-tied me. They went to Penny Hess's home. They put her at gunpoint, and they occupied her house for something like 8 hours. They attacked another office that we had on the south side of St. Louis, where the majority of the white people live. They used battering rams, knocked down doors, and in the Uhuru house in St. Petersburg, Florida, they knocked down every door. They were every door in the building. They stole things like financial records from our offices, etc. And so this is part of what happened to us on that day. And the deputy chair, Onizene Ishitela, was there with me, and with me for the month that I was in the hospital, where I lost 31 pounds. And like I said, I had to learn how to walk again, how to tie my shoelaces, and even to breathe. So this is what we went through. I'm mentioning this because obviously we think highly of ourselves as an organization. We do, we're bad. You understand? I say this without hesitation. But we got all kinds of contradictions too. And I'm saying that because there are issues that we still are trying to struggle and overcome. Because we are not trying to build an organization to see how many likes we can get on social media. We're not social media militants. In fact, I'm sorry to say that we're not good at it. I wish we were much better at that than we are. So we're not social media militants, I have to say. And in fact, we're just learning how. And, you know, person my age, if I want to do something on social media, I would call Aquile's 3-year-old daughter to help me. You understand? But that's the way that works. So Onizene Ishitela slept in a chair for a month, you know, while I was there in the hospital, and went through this thing, and at the same time building. And we built. And I want to say also that I appreciate Comrade Attorney Davis mentioning the founding of the organization, the legal organization. It was a really important thing that happened with the NCBL because it was an important time in the history of the struggle that we were involved in. This is when the struggle first really articulated in the best possible way that we were fighting against colonialism. This is when the movement had graduated beyond just some anti-racism, the white people don't like us kind of politic. Because you talk about anti-colonialism, that's a different kind of struggle. Because what we are involved in is a struggle for power over our own lives. And if you're not talking about struggling for power, what the hell are you here for? That means that if you don't have it, that means that anytime an oppressor wants to do something to you, he's going to do it to you. You have to have the ability to pay a consequence. right? And that's one aspect of it. But I think it's also important to say that how do you know when you won a struggle against racism? Does somebody come out and wave a white flag and say, we surrender? How many schools, some of us are old enough to remember when there was an industry surrounding anti-racism, unlearning racism. And doesn't matter how long they went to unlearn racism, it never went any place. It never disappeared. And it didn't seem to matter whether they graduated or not. So the struggle is against colonialism. That's the thing that we are involved in. I want to make that clear because we are talking about free speech. I want to say something about incredible lawyers. These are bad lawyers. They are. They are. Because one thing is, I'm mentioning Brother Davis at this critical moment because it was really necessary for that emergence there. But they became political lawyers, not just lawyers, but political lawyers. And this movement lawyers, if you will, that is lawyers who believed in something other than simply being officers of the court, you understand? Who believed in something. And because there's no such thing as neutrality and a certain kind of objectivity that they want to impose on us. We are not objective. We believe and stand firmly on the side of the oppressed without any kind of apologies for that. We're not objective around that. We stand with the oppressed. And the thing that was so wonderful about our lawyers, they spent time with us. And I remember after one of the visits to St. Louis, Missouri, and you got to come to St. Louis, Missouri, if you haven't been there to see it yourself. And they saw the work, and somebody turns to them, oh, I see why they attacked you now. I got it. I got it. This is why you were attacked. And these lawyers, we understood that the law was simply a mechanism that was being used to carry out political objectives. So even though we had to be able to deal with them on the legal question, we had to carry out a political mission. That's why we say that it's not just some kind of fight back, it's a counteroffensive. They attacked us not because we were breaking the law, they attacked us because we were advancing the struggle against colonialism. And so what we did is we say we're going to we initiate a counteroffensive because we're going to make the struggle against colonialism. And they're not going to take us off that. And that's really important to understand. One of the lawyers, they want to shut us up. They said that they charged us just for talking. And because we were determined that we were not going to go through some of the same things that we went through in the 1960s, where our movement was isolated, where we had to fight this thing by ourselves. I'm talking about fighting for Black power, because the white left, generally speaking, did not support that struggle against colonialism. They would support us if we fought against racism, if we fought to make them like us. You understand? They would support it if we said what we were fighting against is fascism. And what I'm trying to tell you is what you call fascism is when those instances, something that's some symbol similar to what's happened to colonized people creeps into your society, your life. You never. So we are afflicted all the time. Fascism is an anomaly, but colonialism is with us all the time. We live with it all the time. And so that's the point that we wanted to make, and we have made it. It's been made by other people as well, but that was a critical, significant point. And that's why, you know, I think about the Black Panther Party, and there are people in this room who've had association with the original Black Panther Party, and who led the struggle against colonialism. One time it was the Revolutionary Center in this country. And I'm gonna say something about you. And but we had all kinds of struggles with the white left who wouldn't support the struggle against colonialism. You know when the white left joined with the Black Panther Party? 1972, when the Black Panther Party hosted in Oakland, California, a national conference against what? Fascism. 9,000 people, most of them white, came and joined to participate in a national conference against fascism. But they wouldn't struggle against colonialism that was killing and murdering Black people and indigenous people, et cetera, around here. So, but I don't go back. We didn't run from who we are. We weren't trying to convince the court who we were, although we had these incredible lawyers. One of the lawyers' opening statement walked up in a federal courtroom where they're trying to silence us, to keep us from talking about things, walked up to the federal courtroom, threw a fist up in the air and said, Uhuru, 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 said it means freedom in Swahili, freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, freedom of association. You're going to be hearing that word a lot during this process. That's what one of the attorneys said. Another attorney walked up. We're not running from who we are. You're running from who you're supposed to be. You understand? And the attorney said, because they said that we were hired by the Russians. They said in something like a 7-year period, I think they said, was it 7 years they said we were supposed to be working for the Russians? That the Russians had paid us $5,000. We'd have done better with one of the cardboard signs standing under the bridge. You understand? They said the Russians had given us $5,000. And what had happened, of course, is I had been to Moscow twice. I went to Moscow twice for the same reason I founded the African People's Solidarity Committee. We were not going to be isolated and surrounded anymore. I went to Moscow twice because an NGO in Moscow held conferences for national liberation of peoples around the world. They had conferences on the rights of migrants. So I went to Moscow. I went to Moscow because I wanted to meet as many people as we could who could unite with what? The struggle of African people here. That's what it was about. And so they said when I went to Russia, I became a Russian agent by doing that. So, and Comrade Addy, speaking to the $5,000 claim of the fact that I'm working for the Russians, she walked up and said, Omala Ishitela is a revolutionary. We ain't running from that. He cannot be bought. He is a person of integrity, right? This is what we took into the courtroom. And this incredible appeal that we took, the what do you call it? The motion to what? To dismiss the case. It was filled with who we are. That's what it was, all up and down the line. Who we are, what we stand for, what we've done all along. We never ran from that. But the fact of the matter is, and this is a critically important thing for us, is that, by the way, the poverty of their case was also exposed by the fact that Comrade Akile, hold up your hand, Akile. Akile threw up a fist. That Comrade Akile, who was also charged, no, she wasn't charged. She was one of the unindicted co-conspirators, that they just didn't mess with her no more. They just forgot her like she didn't exist anymore. So we went to trial. And after the years, they said they had been investigating us. They did enough materials from us. They took all of our laptops. They took all of our recording devices. They took all kinds of materials. Enough, they said, that equated to what? Something like 2 million. Yeah, something like 2 or 3 million books they took from us. And so when we went to trial, they had also offered a $10 million bounty for anybody who would bring some evidence against us. And they didn't have a single witness, not one human being. They had 12 FBI agents, which is not to be confused with human beings. And they had two professors who claimed to be Russian experts on Russia. And you had to be there. I mean, Addie had the poor, Attorney Addie had this poor lead FBI agent in tears. I mean, she came up, so bold and confident and cocky. And by the time Addie finished cross-examining her, she had shrunken to such an extent that the prosecutor had to just jump up and defend this white woman. Didn't he? I mean, he jumped up and said, "You can say what you want to say about me, but don't say anything about this wonderful person here," right? So it was an amazing fight back that we initiated. And the question, we're talking about winning. We have been on a great trajectory now, winning trajectory. And I want us to recognize that. It's important. The state brags about having something like a 97% conviction rate in federal cases. But they have a conviction rate like that because most people don't fight. Because when they come at you with flashbang grenades and armored vehicles and things like that, then they threaten you. But if you take this deal, or you're going to get twice the time that you would have gotten otherwise. And so most people don't fight. But we never intended to not fight. Even though lawyers had advised us, don't say anything, just shut up, I mean, I had a press conference on the very same day this happened. I had a press conference. Because you needed to know what was happening. Because they came for me, they're coming for you too. And the thing that the white left doesn't understand, and white people in general, there's a presumption here that somehow Africans do not have agency. So therefore, somebody white had to tell us what to say. We learned what creates, what do they call it, this content or what have you in the United States is not us. It's killing Mike Brown. It's murdering African people. It's the brutality that we experience. It's the fact that that enough babies die to fill up 15 classrooms every year. This is the stuff that creates dissent. This is the stuff that, it's not us, you do that. And so I'm putting it back in your lap, and I'll be damned if I'm going to run from that. So it's also important for us to say that we're seeing more. This was the Biden administration that did this. But it was Biden, it was Kennedy and Eisenhower who collaborated in killing Patrice Lumumba. It was Kennedy who developed the Green Beret, even the uniform. It was Johnson, the great liberal, who organized the overthrow of Kwame Nkrumah in Ghana. People who just want to be free. Only thing we want is take back our happiness and the return of the resources that's been stolen from us so that we can feed, clothe, and house ourselves. That's what we're fighting for. And this is what they are willing to kill people for. Martin Luther King didn't do nothing but talk. They killed him, gunned him down. Malcolm X didn't do nothing but talk. They killed him down. And I think it's really important for us to understand that the matter of free speech is not just for me talking. They don't give a damn about me talking. They care about what you hear. They care about you hearing. That's the issue. And that's under assault. So I wanted to say those things, and that we are really in a victorious mode. We've won. They've had to deal with this issue, this case, and the attempt to isolate us in a short period of time. We had something like, when they first attacked us, we didn't handle it appropriately, but we had something like 400, applications for membership. Boom, right up, boom, 400 people you wanted to join. And when you talk about what happened, the frightened white people, that's the thing that drew white people to the movement, because they understood that it was some serious stuff that was happening here. And they hadn't seen anything like this since the 1960s. They hadn't seen anything like this since the Black Panthers. They hadn't seen anything like this since Che and revolutionary movements roiled the entire world and shook the foundation of the system. We believe this. We believe that a most important thing is philosophy theory. We don't believe in just theorizing, just empty discussions, just empty debates, but we believe in it because there has to be something you're fighting for. What are your basic objectives? I mean, how many times have you seen movements and we walked into the middle of movements? We did that in Ferguson. One of the things that drew us to Ferguson was the response of the masses of the people once they killed Mike Brown. And the people rose up right there on Canfield Drive. And it was decided I had to go into Canfield, I had to go there. And we had a newspaper that we put out, which is one of the other reasons they attack us. And that somebody said, go look in the subscription and see who gets the burning spear there. And we found the contacts there and called them, and we went in there and began to organize right there where the people were involved in the struggle on the ground, which was really a critical kind of development because people were open to ideas. They were open to ideas, and none of the stuff that were being told them made any sense, you know. And you know the emptiness that I'm talking about. You hear even the movement of people who are opposed to this particular government that's in power now. What they got? What they offer you? You know, Kamala. What is there to offer? Or they offer you Bernie Sanders and Walmart socialism. You know, socialism where you can make $15 an hour after a number of years. That's, you know, Walmart pays that now. You understand? So that's not what we're looking for. We're talking about philosophy that's based on an objective examination of the history of the relationship we have here. And one of the things that we have concluded a long time ago is that the assault that was made on Africa some 600 years ago by Portugal, little tiny Portugal, little. Yeah, it's an appendix on the, sort of like an appendix on the bottom of Europe. Little tiny Portugal initiated what came to be the slave trade and the forcible dispersal of African people all around the world. And from this was born for the first time in human history a world economy, which is not to say people did not trade with each other before, but there was no such thing as a world economy where the world was connected together in a single economy. It became connected. This is where you got a Venezuela. There's the type Venezuela. Was no Venezuela before that. Was no Cuba before that. Was none of the so-called America. Was no America before that. Was no Europe before that. You just had these disparate warring tribes in this area that you now call Europe that identify themselves primarily in relationship to each other. But it's when they discovered us and the resources they could steal from us, where we became the others and the basis of their value, the resources that they came, then they began to identify themselves as one in opposition to us, who they were stealing from. Karl Marx once said, and I'm gonna get out your way, because he had to offer up an explanation for why. How did capitalism come into the world? Because it didn't have one. I'm telling you, I don't have time to go through this now. But so anybody knows if you want to start a business, you got to have what they call startup capital, don't you? You got to have something to start with. And so Marx said the only way we can understand how you could have a capitalist production without capitalist accumulation is to presuppose there was an accumulation of capital that did not originate from capitalist production, but this accumulation was the starting point. He called this primitive accumulation. And this primitive accumulation he talked about was interring the indigenous people in what's now called the Americans, right, into the mines, bringing up gold and silver. He talked about how it was the attack that was being made on what he called the East Indies. And he said, turning Africa into a warring for the commercial hunting of black skins. He said, this is the beginning of the process. He said, this has, in political economy, the same significance as original sin in theology. He's right. It all started here. And we understand that. Marx saw that, could understand the way we understand. That's because, like Malcolm said, there's a difference. You'll hear a different explanation from somebody who's sitting on the hot stove than somebody who's watching somebody sitting on the hot stove. And we were sitting on the hot stove, and we had to have a damn good explanation of what the hell was going on. And so I wanted to say that and say we are winning, and that we want to bring everybody out. We want to have the obvious political response from the people that brought us this far. We got issues and contradictions that we have to resolve as a party. And I'm saying that our struggle is to become self-governing. That's what we're fighting for. Won't settle for anything less than that. There's no dignity in being a volunteer slave. There's no dignity in that. You understand? So, and we require more than that for ourselves and for our children and for the generations who've all preceded us and who've laid this path for us. And we have to go the final journey. And we say, no compromise, no surrender. And we say also, vanguard up, relentless, Uhuru.
Wow, that was incredible, Chairman. Yeah. I love the African People's Socialist Party, and I'm so grateful to be a member of this organization. So want to say that. And we do have some note cards that were being passed around for questions, because I want to move the agenda to, if there's any questions that students have, any statements that members of, member organizations would like to make. Again, we want to acknowledge those comrades who are in the room. I'm looking at Comrade Benda from our Hands Off Cuba Committee, U.S. Hands Off Cuba Committee. So if any comrades do want to say anything, we are running behind on time, but now would be the time to raise your hand and I can call you up. And if anything we can't get to today, if you're there tomorrow, we also would invite you to speak. So Comrade Charles, I know you were passing out cue cards. Do you want to wave your hand? If anyone has a card, you want to pass it to the comrade? That lady over there had her hand up. Where is that? Okay. Perfect. I'll take that one. Oh, was that because you had a question though you wanted to ask? Okay. Yeah, no, if you did write down your questions on the cards, you can turn them into Charles and then he can, yeah. Yeah. But I did want to also acknowledge Comrade Brenda. Did you want to, I know earlier, yes, okay. So I'd like to bring up Comrade Brenda Lopez, who is a member of the U.S. Hands Off Cuba Committee. We traveled to Cuba years ago with these comrades, coming out of the trial, and we met the U.S. Hands Off Cuba Committee during International Human Rights Day, mobilizing following the Uhuru 3 trial, and have been, great supporters of our fight back. So Uhuru comrade. Uhuru comrade. Yes.
Thank you for allowing me a minute. It's a pleasure finally getting to meet you and hear your energy and power. It's really an honor, and overall it's an honor to be here and in solidarity, because as other comrades have mentioned, this is the president. Just yesterday, the U.S. government published a 100-page paper called Cuba, the Capital of 21st Century Communism, listing organizations that are basically just doing humanitarian work, who don't want sanctions, who want Cuba to have autonomy and sovereignty. But they do this because Cuba's a threat. Cuba's an example. Cuba has also stood in solidarity with all of the Black movements here in the United States. When they were going after the Black Panthers, where did they go? They went to Cuba. And thanks to Cuba, Sada Shakur was able to live out the rest of her life. Comrade Huey, Comrade Cleaver also went to Cuba when they were being unjustly prosecuted. Who was there to help South Africa end apartheid? It was Cuba, and that's why Mandela visited Cuba right after he was liberated. So yeah, I think this just comes to show that our movements are very much aligned. You know, when they go after one of us and they win, they use that as an excuse to come after the rest of us. And so I think that the fight that the comrades have put up here is a pivotal fight, and one that we will have to continue fighting right now in times, you know, now that people are seeing it as fascism, but it's a fight that has been continuous, and McCarthyism didn't die. It's just being resurrected in new ways. And so we have to fight together to, yeah, to keep these fights going, to keep them strong, and to end injustices that kill people. I'm just gonna plug in real quick fundraising that I do, some fundraising that we're doing for an organization called Global Health Partners. Cuba is known for having one of the lowest infant mortality rates in all of Latin America, and even lower than in some of the Black and POC communities here in the United States. And sadly, that has been increasing. The infant mortality rate has been increasing because of sanctions, you know, and so it's getting not just to adults, but it's like babies that aren't able to born or able to live out their lives because of politics and ideologies that are inhumane. And so if people want to learn more about a new neonatal maternity campaign that's starting, people can visit Global Health Partners, ghpartners.org for more info. But yeah, I just want to end with saying hands off Uhuru, hands off Africa, hands off Cuba.
Thank you, Comrade Brenda. And salute to the U.S. Hands Off Cuba Committee, and also appreciate you, Comrade Mark, for being here as well. So we have 3 questions that came up. You want to take the first one, Attorney Rainey? Okay, so there was a question about the appeal, the outcome of the appeal. What happens if we win? What happens if we don't? So I appreciate that question. Who did that come from? All right, yeah, okay. Comrade Tabula, thank you.
So no matter what happens, I expect there to be something filed in the Supreme Court. So I believe we'll win, of course, but if that's the case, the government will probably ask the Supreme Court to review it. They don't have to review it, but they can ask the Supreme Court to review it. And if that does not happen and we win here, then their convictions are overturned. So, and bigger than that, we set a precedent based on what, you know, the issue that we win on that will impact at a minimum the 11th Circuit, but really across the country on how the government can enforce these laws. So, so that's what will happen if we were to lose, which we're not going to lose, but if we were, we would be petitioning the Supreme Court to hear the case. That's basically what will happen.
Thank you for attending. So there's another question that we have here. This one, it says, how did you feel about the work when you visited Ferguson, Missouri? Is this a question directed to the attorneys? Who wrote this question? Hey, is that one for the lawyers or for chairman? Okay.
Oh, for me?
So when the chairman came to like during Ferguson, during the uprisings.
Uhuru. Were you there?
I was.
All right, Canfield Drive. All right, splendid, yeah. The thing that I was struck by, it's extraordinary. You see this in virtually every meaningful kind of uprising among the people, this whole democratic response and democratic occurrence among the people. You see a drop in what's supposed to be like crime, et cetera, because now people have identified what the real enemy is, the real contradiction, what has to be resisted against. I saw entire families. This is something to watch on Canfield Drive. You'll find mothers and daughters and children coming out with their handmade signs going to Ground Zero, to West Florissant, you know, to do the marches. So that was a remarkable kind of experience. I was there and also had this experience where on August 30th, the uprising began on the 14th of August after they gunned down Mike Brown and left him for 4.5 hours rotting on 100-degree plus asphalt there on Canfield Drive. And the people struck out, just really because of that. And and then this demonstration, there was a demonstration that was organized for the 30th. And I was always struck by how when the demonstrations would happen, people didn't come out like organizers with clipboards to get names to see who wanted to do something, who wanted to go to work, who wanted to be organized. And I was also struck by the fact that it didn't seem to have any aims other than protests. And you would hear things like hands up, don't shoot. And I felt like that was a poor response to what was happening to us, right? That we had to be able to go beyond that. And so we began to challenge some of that on the ground. Fist up, fight back. You understand? And so that was it. And on August 30th, I got pushed off the platform because the people were told that there was going to be a march on the police station. Instead, they went to this empty park. The people were really fed up and offended by that, and started to march toward the police station. And I joined that mobilization with the people, and we built from that point on, built real organization there. And I saw in Ferguson there were more sellouts flown. They were parachuted into Ferguson. Probably per square inch than any place else. They were there. Money, all kinds of money came there. There were preachers and everybody, even a relative of Dr. Martin Luther King was there, and they were all preaching to the people to just be calm and peaceful and don't fight and don't struggle, etc. So I was struck by that. But the people wanted resistance, and that's why we're still there. And that's why, Comrade Ona Zene Ishitela, came in and began building on the ground. We were building on the ground. That was our objective. You negate colonialism. We created a strategy that we call creation of dual and contending power. They got power. We need power. So the ability to feed, clothe, and house ourselves, we create our own power. It's not just to be a dual power, but it's to contend with the power that they have in our communities. So that's the strategy that we initiated. And I said I was going to say something about this woman here, Afia Mungaza, who happens to be a lawyer. But she is a SNCC veteran, Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. And I talk too much about SNCC, I'm sure. I think sometimes Phil thinks that, but it was SNCC was the bridge between the anti-racist civil rights movement and the anti-colonial Black Power movement. It was SNCC. Well, I know Atlanta Project was done by, it was SNCC members, that took the Black Power issue and movement out there, and everything that we've seen, including reparations, in modern iteration of reparations, SNCC, at Riverside Church, where SNCC's International Affairs, James Foreman, went in and put forth the Black Manifesto that he had the week before taken to Detroit, Michigan, where there was a national conference on Black economics there. So SNCC played an incredible role there. And the Black Panther Party, born from SNCC, I just wanted to say that. It had played such a seminal role in the development of the National Liberation Movement. And I cut my teeth in SNCC as well, so Uhuru. Yeah. And somebody raised the question, can I get that? Yeah. About when many people want to make Israel groups register as foreign agents, what is the reason to stop FARA, which is the Foreign Agent Registration Act? And our position is we don't believe that there is, how is it characterized, a chosen people. Understand? We don't believe there's a chosen people. And this whole notion that somehow the people cannot fight against Pharaoh because some people who they want Israel to have to be subjected to the rules of Pharaoh. You don't keep poison around just because you think it might be useful in this arena. Pharaoh has to go. It's a major assault on the rights of the people. And for that matter, some people think Israel has to go. I'm not entering into that debate right now, but yeah. So that's our view on that. Yeah. Uhuru.
Uhuru. Wow. We're just getting started. We're going to wrap up today's program. And if there's any questions, you can just leave them with myself actually on your way out, or leave them at the front. Comrade Wendy, who's at the table, can collect those, and then we can have them for tomorrow. I just wanted to bring everyone's attention to the courtroom protocols. I have some printed out, unless you want to keep it on your phone. If you do want to grab one, feel free to grab one on the way out. If you keep some behind, we can also have some for tomorrow. But I'm going to read these because this is how I would like to end today's meeting, with having this, having this be read. And I really want to acknowledge the seriousness of the court and how we conduct ourselves, and the significance of your being here is also going to, be reflected in how we present ourselves tomorrow in the courtroom, in and outside the courthouse. So again, we're calling on everybody, especially our supporters who want to pack the court, because the state, they will have their, their legal team and their people being there as well. Arrive at 7:30 in the morning. Get there early so we can get through security and get in place. There will be an overflow room as well. And the overflow room will also have the audio and should have the video as well for you to also watch the appeal. Again, the appeal is going to be 15 minutes each side arguing. So if it's going to happen very quickly, but we will have our event following to sum it up with our team, with our legal team and the Uhuru 3. So inside the courtroom, again, no political attire inside the courtroom. This includes, and we could probably pull it up on the screen, but that's fine. Online, they can also show it if they want on the website. You want to say something?
Yeah, I just want to say there was a time in our political development and work that we didn't give a damn about the decor of the court.
Yes.
Really. I mean, we've had actual physical fights. We've had physical fights in the courtroom. But in this instance, there's something that we want to win. We have to win this, and we don't want to offer the state what they might be characterized as a legitimate excuse for continuing this attack on the rights of the people. So that's why we're going through this. We don't want to do that, and we want you to help us because sometimes people can get excited, and people who are not here now even may come to this, and we want you to be aware that this is what we're about. We're not trying to roil the waters here. You want to roil the waters, join the damn movement. You understand? Take a flyer, take a Brenningsville newspaper, go out and do something to help build a movement. So the struggle is not going to be won in the damn courtroom like that. You understand? So anyway, just wanted to say that, Comrade.
Chairman. Yeah, appreciate that. Yes, so with that being said, no political attire in the courtroom. This includes buttons, logos, slogans, T-shirts, hats, stickers. And sometimes we have to remind ourselves, because I always walk out with something on COVID masks, if appropriate and needed. Courtrooms are formal places. We'll need to stand when the judge and the jury enter the courtroom. Well, there's no jury in this case. No noises, grunts, outbursts will be tolerated by the judge. You may be asked to leave the courtroom if the judge scolds you. It may look bad, on us as well. There will be a court overflow room, which I already mentioned. No weapons of any kinds, no personal electronic devices. This, obviously includes cell phones, laptops, any smart devices like smartwatches or glasses. Those, those are also not allowed. If you have a car that you brought, you can leave it in the car. If you forget please come and see one of us and we can, possibly help to hold things, but that's not the main, like, we don't have that's not the point. And then please bring your valid ID, photo identification, state driver's license, anything, passport, and you must go through a metal detector, just if there's any medical reasons, and, x-rays for that as well. And then, last couple of things, outside the courtroom, again, you never know who may be listening, any courtroom officials who may be nearby, so please conduct yourselves accordingly, comrades, and be careful what you say. And if anyone, well, we already know, be careful what you say, but if anyone from the media approaches you for a comment, we ask that you please direct them to our media liaison, that is Director Akile, right there. And the Hands Off Africa campaign, we have designated, media spokespeople who are prepared to handle the media question, with our messaging. So we want to appreciate you, comrades, for your unity with these protocols and so much for your support for the Uhuru 3. Thank you, Chairman, Chair Jesse, who online, Chairwoman Penny, and our Attorney Addie Griffin and Attorney Angela Rainey, Leonard Goodman, Mutaki Akbar, Tom Inskeep, the whole party, and Hands Off Uhuru Fightback Coalition, all of you comrades, big salute, and we are winning. We'll see you in court tomorrow. Uhuru. Uhuru.
Yes.
Yes, that's right. Africa. Africa. Israel too. That means Africa is our land. Yes, let's get a group photo, and let me just make one announcement. We'll be back in this same room tomorrow at 10:30, right after the appeal hearing. So this is where we'll be again for our next event. You want to take a photo up here, Akile? Right here? Okay. If comrades want to come towards the front, we're going to take a group photo. Thank you. Yeah. And we'll be, she could sum it up. I'm gonna start cleaning up over here.
Where you want? Center? Yes.
Comrades can come on this side.
These are TSU bosses. Yeah. Right here. No Q.
Let's get some.
They didn't again. He lost the force. They just won his case. That's same deal. Yes. Oh, come on.
That's all right.
Oh, yeah. So you're from the Louvre, sister, huh?
I'm starting organizing like round.
Okay. Oh, okay.
I'm not sure.